Some political news. When asked whether he would debate former President Trump, President Biden said it depends on his behavior. It's odd because usually when you hear the words Trump, Biden, and depends in the same sentence, it's about something else.
Woo! They clap and they say woo. Woo, they say. Republicans don't say woo as frequently as Democrats say woo. That's another plus. I can't remember the last time I yelled woo and it wasn't in a mocking tone. I don't want to work. I just want to bang on the drum all day. Well, happy Wednesday to you and welcome. It is mailbag day. And you know what? I'm going to get to the mailbag later in this hour, in the 10 a.m. hour, Eastern time. I'll be getting to our Wednesday mailbag. Now, there is a great deal to talk about Joe Biden and debates. He will never debate. Donald Trump and the courthouse where Republicans gathered to show support for President Trump outside the court, members of Congress and at least one governor. And we have that for you. Wish to share that with you as well. Now, we were just talking about a remarkable story, and the Washington Post doesn't cover the news, but the Washington Times does. And the front page of the Washington Times today with a headline above the fold, pro-lifer gets 5-year prison term for D.C. clinic barrier. Sentences less harsh for co-defendants, but still prison terms because they did what Democrats do all day long, but they did it in the name of pro-life. And that really rankles the Biden Justice Department, so-called. A pro-life leader who, this is kind of a weird thing, and I want to show you a couple of details of this, but a pro-life leader who stored fetuses inside her D.C. home was given nearly 5-year prison sentence on Tuesday for blocking an abortion clinic, as fellow activists accused the Biden administration of using federal law enforcement to go after political opponents. What? How could this be? This cannot be in the United States, as Donald Trump has a day off from court in New York. U.S. District Judge Colleen Cotelli handed down the 57-month prison sentence to Lauren Handy. Lauren Handy, who authorities discovered had 5 fetuses in her home in Washington, D.C. when she was charged 2 years ago for organizing a 2020 blockade 4 years ago now of a D.C. abortion clinic that saw 10 pro-life advocates infiltrate the facility and chain up the entrances. See, they've learned from the Democrats, and the Democrats usually, I remember, where was it, in Oregon, where they chained up the entrances to the police station and then set it on fire with the police inside? They chained up the handles, the doors, and then they set it on fire trying to burn all the police to death. And I don't think anybody was sentenced to prison for that. Not a day. Amazing stuff. Now, one of the demonstrators pleaded guilty in March of 2023. The remaining 6 are scheduled to be sentenced later this month. Friends of the defendant packed the D.C. courtroom to shout, "You're a hero, Lauren," to Lauren Handy, and reciprocate the wide grin with which one of the other defendants greeted the crowd during a separate hearing. Others were seen clasping their hands in prayer or praying the rosary while the Democrat judge, Colleen Cotelli, laid out their respective punishment. The sentencing comes as the Justice Department, so-called, has cracked down on pro-life advocates for clinic demonstrations. Now, it's a corrupt time in which we're living. I think everyone knows that. But this one is pretty extraordinary for a number of reasons, and some of the reporting is pretty wacky. Now, some of the activists are getting long prison sentences, and other protesters were taken into custody at gunpoint during early morning raids. See, this is your Democrat Party. It's pretty amazing stuff. Federal prosecutors threatening lengthy prison sentences and they launched early morning pre-dawn raids with the rifles and the body armor and the helmets to arrest pro-life activists because they interrupted abortion at a D.C. abortion clinic, mostly black babies. And how dare they, right? Supporters said authorities are, trying to make an example of Handy by giving her one of the harshest sentences. Now, let me get to a couple of things here, because I noticed a couple of things when I was reading through this yesterday. And one of the things that I noticed is an Associated Press story. First of all, you had to go all the way to the very end of the story to see this kind of wacky thing in the Associated Press story, that she belonged to a group called Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising. Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising. Now, does that mean that it's almost impossible, a pro-life progressive group? That sounds crazy, right? And I haven't been able to do all the research on that, but that she's self-described as a progressive, but she's pro-life. She went to an abortion clinic using left-wing tactics. These are the tactics they use all the time. They should have glued themselves to something. The Democrats do a lot of that. But I love this paragraph from the Associated Press, which wrote a story about it yesterday. A clinic nurse sprained her ankle when one of Handy's co-defendants forced his way into the clinic and pushed her. That's the allegation. I sprained my ankle. Oh, no, my ankle. Yeah, you should see what's happening to the babies that sprain their ankles. Would be a good day. Another co-defendant accosted a woman, listen to this, who was having labor pains. Wait a minute. Another co-defendant accosted a woman who was having labor pains. She's like, oh, no, I'm in labor. I better get down to the abortion clinic. This is my last chance. You're having labor. So you're in labor. So you're giving birth. You're actually, when you're in labor, you're giving birth. I'm not an expert. I'm not an OBGYN. But I think when you're in labor, I've heard a couple of things about this. I was a baby once myself. I was born, I had a mother who was a woman, not only a biological woman, but a normal woman. So a co-defendant accosted a woman, allegedly, who was having labor pains, preventing her from getting off a floor and entering the clinic. She was on the floor, not the ground, but she was on the floor. She was having labor pains, and she's trying to get into the abortion clinic. And they write this with a straight face, right? Like that's nothing. Inside the clinic's waiting room, Handy directed blockaders to link themselves together with locks and chains and block the doors. Standard Democrat Party tactics for all kinds of events, right? Co-defendant used social media to live stream the blockade, which lasted several hours before police arrested the participants. What happened to this poor woman who was in labor? It was several hours. Was she forced to give birth to her baby at 9 months? Isn't that amazing? And they called it an invasion. The news media, the Associated Press here, called it an invasion. This is the word that they used, invasion. And in fact, if you do a little search on the thing, you find that this one Associated Press story used the word invasion 6 times. They call it a blockade. They call it an invasion. They call them anti-abortion instead of pro-life. They're pro-life. And how is that an invasion? Now, they wouldn't call what's happening at our southern border with 8 million illegal aliens an invasion, but they call 10 people at an abortion clinic an invasion and a blockade because it lasted 2 to 3 hours before they're all arrested, and then later there were pre-dawn raids with rifles and things. Invasion, the Washington Clinic invasion, the morning of the invasion, the Associated Press, it's a political outfit. After the Washington invasion, prosecutors said, 6 times in the story they call it an invasion. Amazing. Only once did they mention labor, that there was a woman. And this is supposed to be like, how dare you block a woman who's in labor from getting into the abortion clinic? And that is just, it's unintentional comedy, I guess. They're, killing a baby if they just, maybe the 2 to 3 hours held up. Maybe the kid's 4 years old now and starting kindergarten. Is that when you start kindergarten? I don't know. You're not going to answer anything again? Is that, you're just going to sit there like Silent Bob all day long? Honestly, you start kindergarten in 4th grade? No. Am I going to come over there? And because honestly, all right. And isn't today's Max's birthday? Is that right? So you should know how old a kid is when he goes to kindergarten. That's why I turned to you then. All right. So there it is. The woman was in labor and showing up at the abortion clinic because, not much time left. Pretty amazing stuff. And that mean person, a co-defendant, prevented her from getting off a floor and entering the clinic. Now, Democrats, every single Democrat will tell you, oh, no, we're not for abortion right up to the moment of birth, because they lie all the time. It's amazing how good they are at lying. And they all lie the same lie every day. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, that's my favorite part. The invasion 6 times, that's amazing. But saying, oh, no, they blocked a woman who was in labor from getting into the abortion clinic. Just wait till it's born and club it to death with meat tenderizer.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired.
What if they didn't?
Discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So,
Governor Ralph Northam, the KKK guy in his KKK outfit, in his medical school yearbook, no less, and Democrat governor, Commonwealth of Virginia, and he's a medical doctor and a pediatrician, right? And he's like, well, that if the baby's born and they change their mind, then, we'll bring out a wooden rolling pin and club it to death like a baby harp seal. I was talking about this yesterday at Newsmax. I said, it'd be fun to go down to fun might not be, it'd be fun to go down to an abortion clinic with a cage full of baby harp seals, and take them out one at a time and club them to death like Swedes, with big mallets. Like get an aluminum T-ball bat. Because T-ball bats are the short ones, like a one-handed T-ball bat, good for kids and household defense. And get an aluminum T-ball bat, go down to an abortion clinic with a cage full of baby harp seals, which Democrats care very much about, even though they've never seen one, and start clubbing the heads of the baby harp seals in front of an abortion clinic and watch the outrage ensue. Come on, what's not funny about that? That's it's not stand-up comedy, it's performance art comedy, but I think it'd be a ton of fun. And then, you could skin them and make a really nice, soft coat. Depends on how many clubbed to death with an aluminum T-ball bat, the baby harp seals. But they're just baby harp seals and not baby people. Maybe we'll wait until the mama harp seal is in labor. And then, then that would make it okay. That'd make it all right. You're a Democrat Party. They're not well. They're really not well. They're not well adjusted to the planet on which they live, the planet they've been assigned to. Amazing. Just great stuff. But I understand that baby harp seal fur is the nicest, softest stuff you're going to find anywhere. You could make a hat. You could make a stole. Nobody wears a stole anymore. Time to bring those back, I think. Hey, looking for ultimate comfort and pain relief? Let's compare G-Defy shoes to other shoe brands that promise comfort, support, and pain relief. Typical shoe brands rely on EVA soles for cushioning, but G-Defy goes above and beyond with VersaShock technology, providing superior shock absorption and energy return. If you suffer from foot pain, knee pain, even back pain, G-Defy's advanced technology may help provide you with the relief that you deserve. G-Defy shoes also offer 2 free supportive orthotics. Come right in the box with your shoes to help improve your body's biomechanics, resulting in proper body alignment and ultimate comfort. So say goodbye to discomfort. G-Defy is more than EVA Soles. It's your path to unparalleled comfort and pain relief. Visit gdefy.com today. Take a look. Experience ultimate comfort and pain relief at gdefy.com. That's GDEFY.com. And use the code CHRIS30, CHRIS 30, and you're going to get $30 off your order of $150 or more. Yeah. What is it with harp seals versus people? Democrats. What's the matter, you? You got no respect. Shut up, or you face. Yeah, so she got 4 years and 9 months in a penitentiary because pro-life, she sounds like she's a bit weird, this progressive thing, and she had 5 fetuses in her house. That's more than a little weird. But pro-life people, they got pre-dawn raids, and Democrats shut down stuff and glue themselves to things and chain doors all the time in protest. Nobody ever goes to jail for them, do they? I'm beginning to think our Justice Department might be corrupt.
We got to start eating babies.
By the way, Lauren Handy has been held in prison since her arrest years ago. No bail for her. If you show up outside Brett Kavanaugh's house with a bag full of guns and stuff, that's okay. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Sid, calling from Los Angeles, California. Sid, buddy, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning. Good morning. So
Hey.
I had this thought about the prayer service and the abortion clinics. They're using the wrong tack. I was thinking they would be more successful if they went with signs like Palestinians against abortion, Muslims against abortion. That they're being Christian and white is not a good way of getting a favoritism from the Justice Department. But looking at what's going on today, if you say you're pro-Palestinian, you can get away with that practically anything. So I'm just thinking they should change their tact when they're going to these clinics.
That's a good idea. I did mention that Lauren Handy is part of a group called Progressives. They have the word progressive right there in the title, and it's literally the last sentence in the Associated Press piece that she's part of a group called Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising. And you got progressive and uprising in there. The incongruous part is anti-abortion. But it's kind of strange language, too, because you would generally say pro-life rather than anti-abortion. So I find that to be a bit peculiar, too. But it's a good idea you have, Sid. Yeah, if, jihadis against abortion, Hamas against abortion, then the Democrats would become confused, as they so often are. They'd have to scratch their pointy little heads and say, well, wait a minute. They'd be conflicted. I love Hamas and the jihad against the Jews, but gosh, I love abortion too. What am I going to do? Well, everybody's, I think, familiar with performance art, the idea of performance art. And I'm thinking of performance protest. Sometimes performance art is protest. But I think if you took a cage full of baby harp seals to an abortion clinic in Washington, D.C. and took them out one at a time and, handed the aluminum T-ball bat around to club baby harp seals to death in front of an abortion clinic to demonstrate irony and absurdity, right? It could be a great form of performance protest. I think that'd be fun. And I was ready to move on, but then I saw Cliff on the line calling from Frederick, Maryland today, and Cliff is from Alaska, and he was listening, and it triggered a thought or two in Cliff's mind. So, Cliff, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Holy moly! What a privilege, sir.
It's my privilege entirely, Cliff. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Well, I know there's lots of smart people out there listening, so I don't want to talk too much. And how's that saying go? They may know you're a fool, but don't open your mouth and prove it, kind of thing. So, anyhow.
You sound great so far. I think you should run for Senate. You live in Maryland.
Oof. Oh, my goodness. Don't get me started on that one, brother.
But you're from Alaska, huh?
Yeah. I've been in retired military. I had 28 years, and I traveled a lot. and spent some time, about 10 years in Alaska. And up there, there's a lot of native culture and backwoods people and survivalists, and so you use what you got. And seal, the natives have been using that stuff for many, many years. And I was on a snow machine trip with my father-in-law, who is he's a Biden voter. And my family is the opposite side of the spectrum. So it makes for interesting conversations, as you can well imagine.
Sure.
So anyhow, in Alaska, we were out one day. It was 34 below, and I was going to take him to the cabin up on the lake and snow machine ride. And we put on our gear, and I had the top of the line Cabela's everything Arctic, and he bought some novelty. I wouldn't say novelty, but he bought some authentic Alaskan native sealskin hat and mittens. And I had a fox and sealskin hat, which is very warm. And when you're going 70 mile an hour across the lake, you have the foxtail flows behind you like Superman's cape. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that one. And so my heater crapped the bed on the heated grips. So it's 34 degrees. I got 60 mile an hour breezes on my knuckles inside these Cabela's mittens, and they weren't worth it. He gave me the sealskin mittens. I was fine the whole day.
Sealskin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's why the natives like this stuff, because it keeps you warm when it's 34 degrees below zero and the wind is howling, and you say you're on a snowmobile. They call them snow machines up there. We call them snowmobiles sometimes in the contiguous 48. But so you're saying that you had the luxury of sealskin mittens or gloves and 34 degrees below zero weather on ice while driving a snow machine, a snowmobile, in Alaska, and they kept you toasty warm? You just felt like you're at home on the couch, huh?
Within a few minutes, I recovered from those worthless Cabela's synthetic stuff and went home, went to my local purveyor of fine furs, native lady in Dillingham, Alaska. Mm-hmm. Shout out to my friends out there.
Uh-huh.
And bought myself a $150 pair of sealskin mittens, and I've never looked back.
And you still have them?
Oh, absolutely. We wore them to a Redskins game a couple years ago, and it was about 15 degrees out. We showed up in all of our Alaska gear, the fox hats and the seal mittens, and everyone was freezing their butts off, and we were just sitting there comfy watching the game.
That is great. That is great stuff. And they know what they're doing. These are people these people have been doing it for 500,000 years. They know that this is what keeps you warm when it's 34 degrees below zero and the wind is howling and the ice is hard and it's everywhere. And in Sweden, when they club the baby harp seals to death, it's not because they're mean. It's because it's the nicest, softest fur, and it'll keep you warm in the most dire of weather conditions. And of course, they do it with good reason. But I do think it would be hilarious, Cliff, to take some baby harp seals. And you don't have harp seals in Alaska. They've got different kinds of seals. But nevertheless, and notwithstanding, I just think it'd be fun, a little performance art protest to bring a cage full of baby harp seals to an abortion clinic, invite 60 Minutes and the local news media to come down. They probably wouldn't come, but make your own videos and post them online. As people freak out in front of an abortion clinic while you club baby harp seals to death with an aluminum T-ball bat. Maybe my sense of humor isn't the same as everybody else's, but I think that'd be pretty funny.
Oh, absolutely. It would put them in such a conundrum. They wouldn't know what to do.
So, Air Force, were you?
Oh, no. I was in the Army.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I did some time with the 1st Battalion Rangers down in Savannah, and then went 5th Special Forces Group back in the mid-'90s, I guess it was, early 90s. And then I went medical, then hooked up with the 82nd Airborne Forward Surgical Team and did some fun stuff with them, and then switched over to the Public Health Service, of all things.
Wow. Wild.
Yeah. And finished out my career working for the Surgeon General there, and now I'm I'm a side job working guy and try to fish whenever I can.
Great stuff, Cliff. That's wonderful stuff. I am saluting you.
Well, thanks, sir. And I'm returning that salute to you. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Cliff. Great story. Yeah, that it reminded us actually of when we haven't played audio of her in a long time, but there is a famous in small circles throat singer, an alute throat singer, and she's in Canada, right? She's in Canada, and it was a number of years ago now that we enjoyed her performance. She is. She's a native, northern Canada, alute. She carries on the tradition of throat singing, which is an alute tradition, been going on forever and ever. And they have competitions, and there was a competition in Canada. And this Tanya Tagaq is her name, and Tanya Tagaq was being hassled by PETA, people eating tasty animals, because she was wearing seal furs and things, and Tanya Tagaq was having none of this, the champion alute singer Tanya Tagaq, to PETA.
People should wear and eat seal as much as possible, because if you imagine an indigenous culture thriving and surviving on sustainable resource, wearing seal and eating it, it's delicious, and there's lots of them, and PETA.
She calls it PETA. She calls PETA just to further insult them for fun. And she used a curse word there we had to bleep out. You can probably figure out which one it was. But I've always wanted to meet Tanya Tagaq because she sounds like a lot of fun. This is her singing. Got to make that clear, because it's Tanya Tagaq. This is the song. You can only imagine the rest. I'll leave that to your personal imagination, but that's pretty amazing stuff. And beep PETA, good stuff. All right, now here we are. Let's get to some audio, because I've just been going off the rails over here on all kinds of things. Having not much to do with much. Although the abortion clinic thing, and the woman in labor who's trying to get in, clawing her way across the asphalt to get to the abortion clinic. I'm in labor. Democrats, there are all kinds of things out of New York and the ongoing lynching of President Trump in that clown car courtroom with the clown car judge and the clown car Soros prosecutor, and the political lynching that's going on. That we used to criticize third world countries when things like this were going on in Tajikistan or in Bolivia or something, but now they're going on here because the left is here, and they believe that all power is to be abused in the name of their political goals, and it normally is. Now, one of the things we learned yesterday is that there's a Democrat member of Congress, Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman met with the star sleazy witness. They got two star witnesses, right? And one of them is Michael Cohen, the sleazy lawyer who's a convicted liar and a perjurer, and they're okay with that. They don't know. And he's, I guess, an ex-convict, and he was disbarred. And he's not a good guy. He was a fixer. New York has a need for a lot of people like him, and law schools are cranking out people like him all over the place. And then, of course, you have the porn star Stormy Daniels, whose story changes, more often than her undergarments. What's that? And I'll just leave it at that. Now, Congressman Dan Goldman, it turns out, met with Michael Cohen a number of times to prep him for his testimony in the trial. A Democrat member of Congress is meeting with the star witness, so-called, in the Donald Trump trial in New York. How can that be? Isn't that amazing? Huh? But it's a political lynching, so that's what we should expect. Also, if you're looking around on this, the Washington Times had a story 4 days ago. Michael Cohen, the sleazy lawyer witness in the Trump trial, who worked for him. And also, I was told reliably yesterday that Michael Cohen lives in Trump Tower. He lives in Trump Tower. Trump should take away his parking. Michael Cohen considers congressional run. He's thinking about running for Congress over frustration about congestion pricing. That's his excuse. Yeah, they're charging too much to come into Manhattan. So he's a Democrat. He's thinking about running for Congress. Isn't that amazing? And he'd win, too, because New York should be severed off of the country. The contiguous 48 should push New York out to sea, I think, at this point. Isn't that amazing? But the fact that, or the report that Michael Cohen was meeting with Congressman Dan Goldman to rehearse, Democrat, to rehearse his testimony in the Trump lynching is pretty amazing, I've got to say. Let's go to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who was up in New York yesterday and outside the courthouse and showing his support and expressing his support out loud for President Trump as this ongoing lynching continues. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, also did an interview with Fox News about all of this.
It was important as a show of support. President Trump is my friend, and I think what's happening to him is outrageous. I mean, I'm a former litigator myself. What they're doing to our system of justice is undermining the people's faith in it, because it's very clear what's happening here. This is lawfare. That's the best word that we have to describe it.
Lawfare. The Democrats combining warfare and law, abusing the Justice Department, abusing prosecutors' offices, abusing the courts to target their political enemies, just like a banana-eaten republic might do. Speaker Johnson yesterday.
President Trump is a friend, and I wanted to be here to support him. I'm here speaking with you outside because the court won't allow us to speak inside the building. That's just one of the many things that are wrong here.
Yeah, freedom of speech for the Speaker of the House is limited by these leftists. They're no better than commies, most certainly. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
This is the fifth week that President Trump has been in court for this sham of a trial. They are doing this intentionally to keep him here and keep him off of the campaign trail. And I think everybody in the country can see that for what it is.
And I think everyone in the country can see that for what it is if the news media presented it as it is. Congressman Corey Mills also showed up outside of the courthouse yesterday with a group of Republican members of Congress and other politicians.
This is a sham, and that is the only thing this is. Michael Cohen has no credibility, no integrity, and this is weaponization against our president.
Corey Mills, Republican House member.
Why do they want this trial to continue? Well, they want it to continue because this is the fundraising source for Adam Schiff, for Biden, and for the Democrat opponents. This is nothing more than election interference at its finest. You are seeing where the weaponization of what was the Department of Justice, now the Department of Injustice, has continued to be utilized against the American people and against the President of the United States.
I'm very happy to see that members of Congress and other Republican politicians have arrived at the court and they're outside holding forth with the press, and see how their microphones are actually close to them and their microphones work. Isn't that amazing? I was encouraging this weeks ago now that a Trump impersonator should, a lookalike and a Trump impersonator who does impressions of Donald Trump should show up outside the courthouse at the microphones and read from a script. Now they're accusing these members of Congress of violating the gag order that they've imposed on Trump, but it doesn't apply to them, of course. But these people are mental cases and they lie about everything. They're fine with that. Hey, and in related news, here's a sobering headline. New estimates report that there were 1 million abortions, 1 million babies killed by abortion in the United States in 2023. That is the highest number of abortions since 2012, more than a decade. We have to fight back against this evil. When they shout abortion, we shout life. And how do we do that? Well, we join hands with Preborn. Preborn is one of the largest organizations in the country that sponsors ultrasounds for abortion clinics in the highest abortion areas. When a mother considering abortion sees her baby on ultrasound and hears the heartbeat, it could double the baby's chances of living a long and happy life. Every day, Preborn helps to rescue 200 unborn babies' lives. And that's truly miraculous, of course, but by the time I finish reading this ad, 2 unborn babies will have been taken by abortion. $28 could be the difference between life and death. If you have the means, would you please consider a leadership gift to save unborn babies in a big way? Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor Preborn's entire network for 24 hours, helping to rescue 200 unborn babies, saving lives. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250, and then when you're prompted, say the word baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby, or donate securely at preborn.com online. That's preborn.com/plant, preborn.com/PLANTE. Boom, bom, 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 bom. Yeah, so now we got Democrat members of Congress meeting with the witnesses and coaching them on what they should say and how they should say it. Just don't call it a political persecution, right? All right, I'm going to get to lots of stuff from outside the courthouse. Donald Trump, the court, the Democrat railroad, the media, and I have an update for you. CNN is allegedly claiming that there will be a Trump-Biden debate at CNN's Atlanta studios on June 27th. They haven't announced a moderator. They say there will be no audience, but CNN announcing there will be a presidential debate. I predict that Biden will find a way to weasel out of it and that there won't be an actual debate. That's my thinking on this, that they just lie all the time about everything. And CNN is in on it, you know. They're in cahoots. I've got a George Soros story for you, but I'm looking, wait till you hear what the news media is saying about Republicans showing up at the courthouse to support Trump.